Hey guys, how are all of you beautiful people? Hope all of you are doing fine, and yes, this is a new series, Marvel Earth 999,000. An unknown entity waved the supposedly limb-looking arm, knocking unconscious a fated but unfateful person, sending him to an unknown space and time, dreaming about the thinnest and lacklustre red string. A man with a soul unique for himself, unknown if it's better or worse than everybody. Story unknown, or is it? So let's start without any delay. Chapter 101, Chapter 101. Chapter 101. What Strange said was that he was viewing was all the possible outcomes that would come about following the coming fight. He wasn't meaning that they couldn't beat Thanos at all or strip him of the gauntlet. There were no doubt many possible futures where they managed to do exactly that. He was viewing what the ramifications of the fight would be. As in looking beyond the immediate win /loss of the confrontation on Titan and seeing how things would turn out in the bigger picture. In ones where Thanos was no doubt defeated, there'd be some other variant which would result in a greater tragedy. Basically, there's literally 14,999,000 outcomes which would result in a loss. And Doctor Strange viewed them all. That loss could be over the course of the next minute, next 10 years, or next 10 million years. It's irrelevant. Strange was looking for scenarios where things worked out well. For the entire universe. Thanos comes out of a cloudy portal, walking slowly without ounce of fear, even if he knew there was an ambush in this place. Moreover, his confidence as a conqueror, as well as the Infinity Gauntlet in his hand, he is ready to fight for his ambition, which he thinks is very right, and no one can stop him as his hundreds of years planning has come to this moment. Thanos didn't immediately started fighting. He met Doctor Strange and have a small conversation about this planet, his former home, from which chose to discard him or cast him outside. A long story short. Long ago, it was a beautiful planet with godlike Titan Eternals as its inhabitants. But soon overpopulation caused its natural resources towards the danger of extinction. Thanos proposed an cruel genocidal solution: kill the half to save the other half, and the selected halves should be random. He was accused of having mental problems, became known as the Mad Titan, and got banished from Titan. The situation isn't optimistic, as this is where Mantis is using her abilities to keep Thanos as calm as possible, and everyone else is struggling to rip the gauntlet off Thanos' hand. Several of them had tried desperately to keep the gauntlet from Thanos. Once Thanos had it, they again tried even more desperately to prevent him from using it. They all failed. Thanos, even without the gauntlet, is almost unbeatable. Peter Quill decided to ask and finish his motive immediately. Where is Gamora? Where is she? Where did you took her? Mantis felt what Thanos was thinking and converse it to Quill. He's in anguish, he's in pain. Quill got angry. Bullshit. Thanos muttered an answer while fighting back Mantis' psychological attack. I had to do it. Nebula's face changes as he knows some story from Gamora, and she believes that Thanos might do something to her and he won't lie about it. Nebula glanced at the Infinity Gauntlet and looked at Thanos full of difficulty. Thanos came back with the Soul Stone, but she didn't. Quill didn't even know what happened next, as he let out all his pent-up anger, anxiety, sadness, and other multiple complicated emotions. Shortly after this moment, Peter Quill punches Thanos, and the shock of the punch is enough to break Mantis's control. He was too powerful for her to easily subdue, and it was all she could do to keep him even partially dormant. Tony and Peter almost got the gauntlet out of Thanos' hand, but failed to do so as Quill released his wrath at the wrong time. Quill came back from his insanity and realized what he had done. Quill tried to salvage the situation, but Thanos is faster and closed his fist and then waved it on the Guardian's direction, instantly defeating them unconscious. Quill, who became the black sheep of the team, had his heart completely broken. His mother died of illness when he was just a child. At that time, he got kidnapped by space pirates / mercenaries, trained to be one of them. Years later of space journey and made a name for himself, met with a team who since to present became his only family. The next heartache of the half-human bloodline, Peter Quill was meeting his biological father, who intended to befriend him and then use him as a charger for his selfish ambition. He doesn't have any choice but to fight and kill his own biological father. Thinking he will also die, a man who raised him since saved him and carried him to their ship while slowly dying due to lack oxygen. Watching his biological father die due to his own hands and seeing his father figure sacrifice his own life to save himself add another broken pieces to his damaged heart. Now he only got the Guardians as his only family, traveling the galaxy doing a little bit of both evilness and goodness. They encounter again another obstacle. The women he loves with all his life got kidnapped by the one she called father and brought to the unknown. Now spending all his energy to find her, fighting the Mad Titan only to hear the news that she died alone without him being by her side. Quill's heart could not take it anymore and just burst. Wrath and endless anger filled his mind to get revenge. Thanos got back the gauntlet and deflected all of Tony's attacks, and then punishing him from that as he decided to throw a moon at Tony. Tony's heart jumped a little, as even if he had the bleeding edge Mark L Iron Man armor, he will still have injuries if he receives it directly. Leading to the current situation where Thanos is against Doctor Strange with the Infinity Gauntlet donned. Doctor Strange duels Thanos, Eldritch spells versus the Infinity Gauntlet with the stones. Strange casted a lightning spell while Thanos had to dodge it and counter-attacking it with his own Power Stone Energy Blast. Strange operated a whole new different spell by trapping the blast into the mirror dimension. It is both defensive and offensive type of spell, so Thanos knows he will be in danger once he got trapped, so he utilized the full power of the Infinity Gauntlet, then threw a punch shattering the spell with a single blow. Thanos then continued to wield the Space Stone combined with reality manipulation to create a ball of black hole spiraling across the place towards Doctor Strange. Strange had to employ a different defensive spell to fight back. Manipulation of reality is the greatest defensive spells, as he broke the black hole by turning it into a different energy. The black hole became turquoise butterflies that distracted Thanos' concentration. The offensive position is on the deck of Doctor Strange, exerted an illusion spell. Strange created clones of himself floating everywhere and conjured a lasso, then attack all around Thanos, tying him up. But the mistake was, he forgot to close his fist, so Thanos used the Soul Gem to track the real Doctor Strange and attacked with the Power Gem. Strange got blown away with a single blast of Power Stone. Taking the chance to incapacitate Strange, Thanos utilizes the Space Stone to manipulate space, grabbing Doctor Strange's neck. Thanos seized the Eye of Agamotto in front of Strange, but the time Atone is gone. Strange chose hid it, supposedly in order for Thanos to fail whatever he wants to do. When Thanos gripped Strange's neck, Tony arrived and separated some nanotech to prevent Thanos from closing his fist. Tony notices every time Thanos had to use his gauntlet, he had to first close his fist to utilize the Infinity Stones. Tony, you thrown another moon at me, and I'm going to lose it. Stark. You know me. You're not the only one cursed with knowledge, Thanos remark. My only curse is you, Tony response. Tony started by bombarding Thanos with nanotechnology missiles. Thanos absorbed it in the Infinity Gauntlet. Then Iron Man charged rapidly with the help of the boosters. Kicking with rocket boosters pushed Thanos to the walls, continued with boostering his arms to smack Thanos. Thanos got up throwing a punch at Tony, instantly denting it. Thanos, even without the gauntlet, is almost unbeatable, but with the help of multiple stone enhanced his overall power. Couple of punches and Tony is outmatched while nanotechnology of his suit decreased over time in the fight. Thanos exerted his gauntlet's full blast of power stone, so Tony Stark had to use nanotech shield, which cannot wholly defend it against the blast. Rearranging nanotech to his important parts, charging rapidly and clamping the gauntlet, then boosted his arm, delivering a full-blown punch on Thanos' face, injuring him with a scratch. Tony's full effort in the battle only cost Thanos a drop of blood. Thanos flipped Tony, then pummel him to the ground. Tony got up, then wheeled his last struggle, focusing all the energy on his repulsor to beam Thanos, as he will lose eventually. Thanos used the gauntlet as shield, approaching Stark and grip his hand, taking the nanotech sword which Tony used as sneak attack, only to be pierced with his own weapon. Comment. 0 comment. Vote. Chapter 102, Chapter 102. Chapter 102. As the fight ended with Tony losing and the nanotech materials were still insufficient for battling Thanos with Infinity Gauntlet. This wasn't even the only attack Thanos shrugged off. He shrugged off attacks by a group of superheroes like he was play fighting. The only thing that could even pierce his skin was Stormbreaker. Strength watched the whole ordeal, and seeing Thanos wants to kill Tony, Strange shouted to stop. Thanos looked at his way, waiting for his next words. Strange, spare his life and I'll give you the stone. Thanos took the time stone and secured it to the gauntlet along with the others. The only remaining stone is the Mind Stone, which is on Earth guarded by the Avengers. Thanos looked at the defeated bunch and clenched the gauntlet, creating a cloud of portals that will lead to Earth. Tony asking while he treated his wounds with emergency medicine fluid, "Why did you give the stone?" Doctor Strange solemnly said to Tony Stark, "We're in the endgame now. Peter, just swing to them as he just finish his own job in order not to be a burden to the two." Doctor Strange asks Peter to save the bodies of the fallen Guardians. They were knocked down with one of the stones and instantly out cold. I think that scene said that Thanos pushed their souls out of their bodies, forced them into the astral plane like in Doctor Strange, and Strange would need a moment to get them back into their bodies, but someone else has to save their bodies while they are unconscious. But a part of that still applies. Peter knows he can't face Thanos by himself. Come on, he's not an idiot. What he can and will do is help others, aka his incapacitated teammates, by swinging around and saving them from falling chunks of moon. Asterisk 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 asterisk. Wakanda, War for Infinity Stone. Multiple dropships landed outside the dome of the Kingdom of Wakanda. One even fell on top of the dome shield that instantly destroyed the whole dropship or spacecraft along its own passengers. Bucky and Sam suited up and got their weapons while waiting for the army of Wakanda to prepare for the war. Bruce and Rhodey suit up their armors. T'Challa with his bodyguards. The Dora Milaje boarded to an aircraft carrier along with Steve and Natasha. Wanda and Vision flying with them to the open field where dropships opened the hatches and legions of Outriders charges to the barrier. Steve and the others watched the alien creature mindlessly charging, even if it cost their lives, tearing flesh, limbs and torso separated, but that doesn't stop the other Outriders from continuing. The Black Order, or children of Thanos, got down from the spacecraft looking at the barrier, then seeing it is not disappearing, Corvus Glaive commanded the Outriders to go around the dome barrier to attack the other side of the dome. The mindless creatures ran on their forelimbs to go around the barrier to forcefully make way through the dome. Some outriders already got through in exchange for severe burns and injuries. Seeing that, the Wakanda's army prepared for stance and fired their energy weapons similar to spears. Bucky and Sam also fired their guns along with the others. More and more are coming through the dome. Soon dozens of it lay dead on the field, but the numbers are increasing, and T'Challa also noticed that these outriders change the location of their target as they are running fast around the dome. As the king of Wakanda, protecting his people is a responsibility, so he decided to open the barriers just on their location to let the enemies in. Proxima Midnight and Corfus Sklave saw the dome opening, commanded to charge. Outriders launch itself to their opponents. Rhodey flew closer and drops many bombs near the dome where hives of mindless creature is passing through. Although Bruce also wanted to do the same, his control of the Hulkbuster armor is still poor. The team saw that the battle is already on their way. T'Challa and Steve lead the charge with a shout. As a super soldiers and enhanced, their speed created a margin for normal soldiers. Meeting at the river, outriders are rapidly becoming more aggressive. Hot weapons barely pierce their skins, but the Wakanda's weapons made of vibranium and spewing energy blast help alleviate the pressure of the physically powerful outriders. Steve and T'Challa got toe-to-toe with their cooperation to each other. Numbers are increasing inevitably as corpses of both sides lay dead, but the differences between the two armies were Wakanda get those injured to get treated, while dead or injured outriders remain their way. Proxima Midnight and Corfus Sklave targeted the Mind Stone from Vision as Vision fought back along with Wanda. The two created a large advantage, but attacking in the air, using laser beams and chaos magics. The battle is in frenzy. Even though the advantage on both sides is minimal, a little careless action might doom their lives. The weapon of Corfus Sklave is an artifact from different civilization outside this planet. Vision fought him in combat. As a vibranium body, he is not afraid of most weapons, so he charged with him, getting on close combat. Proxima also fights Wanda. Wanda had a great advantages on defeating Proxima, but her methods and experiences lack compared to much older alien like Proxima. The two did not settle on one location as they all kept moving in every battlefield, and sometime assisting each other while also helping their allies. The mob of outriders created a new waves of new outriders coming out of the dropships. The pressure are increasing. The physical strength of the outriders are much more powerful with a commander in a current situation. Strategy for these mindless creatures creates an advantage by attacking one opponent with their numbers, different from the other places where outriders are mindlessly charging and attacking everything like a real mindless creatures. However, here in this battlefield, 3 commanders are giving orders on how and which tactics can they do that will destroy the enemies. Ebony Maw watched from outer space and giving orders on the Q ship. Proxima and Corfus is battling Vision and Wanda. All the army had was Captain Steve, Natasha, T'Challa, Okoye and Bucky on the ground fighting multiple enemies, while on air forces was Sam and Rhodey. Bruce was on different location wreaking havoc with his Hulkbuster armor. Many outriders and alien guerrillas charged towards him and he bombarded them with missiles from the armor and repulsor beam. The control is getting better, but the pressure isn't decreasing as new dropships are landing outside the dome. Suddenly, just as Ebony Maw is already thinking of victory, a bright star is moving at light speed on the dark void towards this planet. Ebony Maw stared at this phenomenon with large eyes as he remembered one thing that they should be careful of. A woman who has been fighting with Kree Empire on the other side of the galaxy once destroyed an army of Kree spaceships and ending up saving this planet. That woman is the same woman who have been a menace to criminals in space, was also once live in this planet. Ebony Moore didn't know for sure how she got here at this time, but he already suspect that she got the news and now they are enemies. Ebony Moore didn't waste any more time as he maneuvered the Q-ship around to bait her until Thanos arrives to deal with her, as her powers are difficult to deal with except for powerful physical abilities. Sending spacecrafts to attack the bright light as it is coming on his way. No matter how easy she destroyed them, Ebony Moore continues sending them while firing at her. The bright light eventually came closer, but she did not got baited, instead flew through the atmosphere of Earth. The woman's name was Carol Danvers, aka Captain Marvel. She got the message from the pager from Nick Fury when aliens attacked the planet. She directly contacted Nick Fury and talked about the situation. A little news received from Nick Fury: Captain Marvel is already flying on her ways to solve the problems with the alien invasions. The situation in New York is stabilized with only cleaning up. North Korea and Australia is the same because it has fewer dropships and reinforcements arrived on time. While the Russian country has worse situation compared to others. The invasion killed thousands of soldiers and civilians with friendly fire and uncoordinated fighting with the outside reinforcements. Soldiers cooperate only when they lost a line of defense in the first battle, but the army of Outriders lost command when Russian superhuman forces attacked and destroyed the dropships and spacecrafts with an excellent comeback. Captain Marvel saw that the situation stabilize on other countries except the Wakanda, where the Black Order focuses their forces at that place where the Mind Stone is stored to a super android. Most of Earth's heroes have been fighting in this country, so she forces her way through the illusion barrier. Comment. 0 comment. Vote. Chapter 103, Chapter 103. Chapter 103. It didn't take long for Captain Marvel to see the battle, army of Outriders coming out of the dropships. She aimed her target at those spacecrafts and proceeded to help the heroes. She relied on her speed to blast one of the dropship that concurrently opening its hatch to release Outriders. Dropships and spacecrafts are constantly being sent to Wakanda. Just as Captain Marvel is about to destroy one of dropship, a rainbow light bridge beaming across the space through Wakanda's soil. In the middle of the battlefield, she saw someone who landed. Her face turned grim, thinking it's one of the attack from space. Then she saw an axe somehow carrying its own, killing Outriders all over the battlefield. The axe have blue lightning around that seem to only targeting the mindless creatures. She wasn't sure what is happening, but seeing Outriders getting massacred continuously, she got the hint that it is someone helping the group called Avengers. She planned to help the group deal with the Black Order, but there is already someone dealing with Proxima Midnight and Corvus Glaive. The only enemies that is threatening are the quantity of Outriders and multiple dropships. Thor come out of the Rainbow Bridge, took his axe back and shouted immediately in the middle of combat, declaring his own words, "Bring me Thanos." Blue miasma and lightning all over his body and weapon, jumping in the sky, lightning clouds everywhere conjured a thunder strikes to the ground that took the life of more than a clusters of Outriders. The offense didn't escape from Captain Marvel's vision as she was in the sky contemplating her own worth in the battle. The ground Outriders are on a losing side when Thor appeared with his Stormbreaker weapon. She remembered that out in the space is spaceships dropping spacecrafts into the atmosphere of the Earth, and only she can handle fighting in the space with her prowess. Captain Marvel decided immediately and flew to the sky. There is no more serious threat on the world, and it seems they can already deal with the Outriders on their own. Thanos is nowhere to be found. Her focus has been changed until Thanos appears. Flying like a meteor but reverse, it didn't take long to see the Q-ships responsible for deployment of dropships. Weapons and artilleries drawn to her, Ebony Maw is already awaiting her appearance as he fired all artillery and other weapons not only to her as it would be useless. Captain Marvel can absorb energy from bombs, so instead use the missiles to scatter and deploy it to the Earth's atmosphere. There will be a massive problem if the missiles landed on the Earth, so Ebony Maw used that strategy to battle Captain Marvel by not fighting her directly. Ebony Maw sent all artilleries around the world to keep Captain Marvel busy dealing with it. As Captain Marvel saw that many large missiles and spacecraft's weapons are sent scattering to the Earth, her short contemplation already assessed the whole situation. By changing the target, she would have to deal first to those weapons in case they explodes on the ground and killing thousands of people. The dark space is sprinkled with boundless golden and bluish light, dazzling the sky as though those who saw what is happening might think that there is a war happening between spaceships outside the Earth. Captain Marvel just exploded the missiles with photon blast from her hands. The energy released have been her boosts as she absorbed it to increase her power simultaneously increases her speed. The more energy she get, the amount launched by her own body was making her more of a small sun outside the planet. Ebony Maw has to empty his ship's weaponry just to buy time for more Q-ship to reinforce on its way. Captain Marvel have already been doing these battle, but there seems to be projectiles escaping her sight as explosion might soon happen. This time, Ebony Maw released a large amount of projectiles in different places comparable to swarming bees. Captain Marvel had to spend time dealing with each one before dealing with the largest spaceship, as she already is losing patience as the mastermind seemed to know about her powers and priorities to protect the world instead of sacrificing a few missiles to destroy the spaceship immediately. No matter how arrogant she get with her capabilities, she can't risk exposing more people in danger, as once the enemy use her moral weakness against her, it won't stop until her enemies decide to self-destruction or mutually destroy each other, and both of them including the people on Earth. Selecting the worst option for both of them will consequently change the outcome without any sense of activity and victory. Thanos is still not on Earth. The messages she received from Nick Fury was a mad titan coming to Earth with his legions. The most threatening mastermind have a final destination, which is the Mind Stone. It cannot be passed that his legions are only for destruction and his very purpose was to sneak behind, but that doesn't seem fair for an infamous conqueror in the universe. Comment. 0 comment. Vote. Chapter 104, Chapter 104. Chapter 104. Thor arrived at the Wakanda. His appearance surprised many, but in an ecstatic way. Banner even shouted to Thor as Groot and Rocket got down to prepare to fight the Outriders. Thor's momentum, created by just his aura and menacing voice full of intensity about revenge and his sole purpose to hack Thanos with his mighty axe. Now that the Avengers had a powerful ally, the enemies are all over the place without commanders. On the other side of the kingdom, the part where Wanda and Vision fighting against Proxima Midnight and Corvus Glaive, the two have the advantages of experience and raw power as they harass the two with pure strength and agility. Wanda have taken upper hand on the battle as her chaos magic is detrimental to both of them on how she conjured spells and Crimson Blast. Vision on the other hand got stabbed in the shoulder while the side of his head have clear damage of a sharp weapon. He now have difficulty phasing though objects. The Mind Stone are tingling as if a powerful entity is coming to take it. Vision have already anticipated that the two enemies or Thanos' Black Order have only one goal, if not more. Either take the Mind Stone or keep the Mind Stone where they can see it, as to buy time for Thanos to come take it. Vision looked at Wanda clenching his fist. Wanda, we need to destroy the stone, Thanos is coming. Wanda observed Vision's expression but only see a subtle emotion from his eyes. Corvus and Proxima heard what Vision said. Corvus frowned and decided a strategy where they had to give all they got, even to the point where they might lose their life. Corvus and Proxima have been fighting to keep the two on this place and prevent them from leaving and hiding, although they can locate it again, but that will considered a failure in accordance to their job. Proxima, buy me a few minutes, you deal with the woman. I'll take the stone forcefully. Proxima just glanced at her husband but didn't said anything, as they both already knew that this mission was the last time. Proxima adjusted herself and watched intently what might Wanda do. Charging with all her might, taking out numerous bombs and throwing it everywhere. Despite the bomb blasting everywhere and dust and smoke covering their vision, Wanda didn't notice about Proxima's disappearance as well as Corvus vanishing from the smokes. Wanda stacked another spell, prioritizing the defense in order to the stone from the two's desperate struggle. It only took a few seconds as Wanda blew the dust away as the surroundings cleared, but also lost the both of them. Did they escape? No, keep looking out, they won't leave until they have the Mind Stone. Vision looking everywhere, trees, sky or even under the ground, but no figure of the enemies. Vision communicated with the others. Captain, we lost visual of the people of Thanos. Wanda kept looking out, but Vision suddenly moved to her side and pushed her. She immediately found a metal spear coming on their way, specifically on her body, but since Vision saved her by exchanging positions with her, Wanda cast Crimson Magic, as it is not yet hopeless as long as she concentrates to rearrange the direction of the spear. Once she is almost done, Proxima appeared under her with the lower half of her body is under the ground, taking out both her weapons. Then she attacked Wanda. Vision got hit by the spear on the side of his chest, damaging further his vibranium and preventing him from leaving using his abilities. Wanda on the other hand slumped to the ground, weakened by the weapon of Proxima's attack. Corvus Glaive retrieved the spear and proceeding stab Vision's forehead in order to get the Mind Stone. The two of them used the loss of visual to camouflage their whole body and blending with the surroundings. The camouflage came from the skins of an species of a planet where they conquered for a long time along with the technology of Thanos. It helps both of them to hide their presence, therefore confusing their enemy's sight and visual. Since Vision is not a real biological organism and accumulated damages on his body, he had a hard time finding their whereabouts. Wanda is more focused on the Mind Stone and the spell she is casting that she let her guard down for a moment because of her confidence in her shield. Comment. 0 comment. Vote. Chapter 105, Chapter 105. Chapter 105. Corvus Glaive brought down his spear while Vision looked at him straight in the eyes. The situation is appalling since the spear didn't hit anything except the soil. Vision is gone and Proxima's scream distracted him from his stupor. Corvus didn't expect that they had been fooled. Proxima is currently injured with Vision's laser in her arms while her weapons destroyed in the process, and then Wanda blasted her 100 feet away. Corvus immediately saw the two flying away while he ran to help Proxima, seeing her all blooded and she doesn't have any more ability to continue fighting due to her condition. Corvus just gave her a piece of technology to heal her body from the worse injuries from her internal condition. The surroundings cracked as Vision and Wanda flew away. Wanda used her crimson energy to manipulate the damages around Vision. Because of how lethal the weapons of Corvus that can destroy Vision's body at any time if given a chance, he had more advantages fighting Vision without his phase through. Wanda used her magic to manipulate a small area to bend the reality more effective than using a simple illusion. The Vision in the image became a bait at the last minute in exchange for taking Proxima out in the battle. Now that there is only one enemy left, they need to strategize on how to take the stone away from eyesight. The real problem have not yet come, but Corvus Glaive is already a threat. A few minutes later Vision have a little to no damages left when suddenly a bluish blade came hurling on their way. Vision used his lasers from the Mind Stone to defend. Wanda blasted the spear that resulted for it to break into two. Now Corvus is charging their way with few dozens of Outriders. His eyes never left their direction as he raised his weapon to parry Vision's lasers. The beam reflected and hit all over the place. Wanda casted a large spell to take out several Outriders at once, but more are coming and there is only a matter of time before they got defeated by numbers. Wanda and Vision may be overpowered compared to other heroes, but since they are fighting Corvus, who have been following Thanos since the beginning, accumulating tactical mindset and experience of battle all over most galaxies. Swinging his weapon, Corvus targeted both Vision and Wanda every time they get close to each other. The weapon have a great effect on parrying magics and blast of Wanda's attacks. The situation is still not on anyone's favor, but Wanda have more impact of bending reality on the environment. She threw body of Outriders on Corvus' way only to get slices. Rock and tree formation is being used in clusters to buy time. They flew again for much longer until Corvus got delayed by something. Wanda received a reply from Black Widow that they are currently working on taking Proxima out since she's weakened already. The situation outside the planes are chaotic, but they are enough to boost morals of the Avengers. Thor and the others massacred the Outriders and no more dropships are sent down after a few explosions from outer space. Scattered everywhere are corpses of Outriders and injured soldiers of Wakanda. The medic team have busied themselves treating their people as the war is far from over. Corvus Glaive look everywhere, but the distortion of his surroundings are making his senses lose greatly. Everywhere he look, he came back to same place he already have been. He is aware that this is the works of the crimson-haired woman. This magic are everywhere since the second confrontation. Corvus thought for a few seconds as he just stood still and communicated to others. Ebony, Proxima, are you there? No reply means he is trapped somewhere. Wanda and Vision is currently outside a crimson barrier where they are waiting for Corvus to drain his mental energy as Wanda is slowly draining in order not to be noticed immediately. Wanda didn't need to use crimson magic to its full power since her job was to keep the stone from Thanos, and she must be always ready in case Thanos directly appeared on their back. Vision touched his forehead where the Mind Stone is sending a different signal. Looking at Wanda with serious expression, Wanda, we should inform them of our plan. I already told that to Captain Steve, but I heard Thor has enough power to contend with Thanos. He is shouting and finding Thanos, but Captain told us he is a great asset in order to take Thanos down. Captain said that his new weapon, the axe, have the power to cleave down anything, even Thanos with Infinity Gauntlet. Wanda replied solemnly, their position is to buy time for Thor to strike and used themselves as bait. At first Wanda volunteered alone, but Vision goes together to add in case Thanos is much stronger than they think. Comment. 0 comment. Vote. Chapter 106, Chapter 106. Chapter 106. Wakanda. In the inner part of the forest, Wanda felt that the atmosphere changed greatly. When the wind blew off, the trees swayed and the cloud darkened. A blue portal appeared not far from where they stand. A huge man with light purple skin, scarred across his face, the eyes that showed no glaring emotions, only determination, as he already one step away from completing his plans. Light armored, the gauntlet shining with 5 different lights, walking calmly to Wanda's and Vision's direction. The purpose was the Mind Stone, clearly from the look of his eyes focusing on it. Wanda and Vision got ready for battle as they communicated with the others. Vision's voice if full of solemnity as he felt the Infinity Stones on Thanos' control. Captain, Thanos, is here. Thanos didn't directly attack as he took time to look at Wanda and the Crimson Barrier. Give me the stone and I'll spare the life of this planet to the fate. My only purpose was the stone and I'll leave the planet as soon as get it. Thanos gave his words with the sincerity. No lies have been said as he disdained it as one of the powerful existence in the universe. Wanda and Vision just look at him, not replying as they get ready for battle and waiting for reinforcements. Thanos stayed silent, but seeing no one spoke, his expression didn't change one bit as he declared, so that is your choice, then so be it. Thanos closed his fist and the Infinity Gauntlet glowed. The Power Stone glowed brightly as the Space Stone covered the area instantly. His posture moved to raising his arm and bringing it down to the Crimson Barrier's direction. Bang! Crack! The Crimson Barrier shattered like glass as Corvus looked at Thanos, then kneeled. Sire, I failed my mission to take the stone. No more fancy words are needed as he clearly knows his master. He failed to take the stone, but he knows that the stone is nearby and he bought time and creates a way for Thanos to take it. Thanos commanded, I will take the last stone, you should get the Legion to focus its attack to the rest. Yes, Sire. Corvus retreated to take command of the Outriders. While Wanda is casting a powerful spell and Vision is on the verge of blasting his laser beam, Thanos looked menacingly to Thor's direction. Clenching the Infinity Gauntlet, the Reality Stone as well as the Space Stone shone brighter than the other stone. A huge dark domain created by Thanos trapped both of Wanda and Vision with him inside. Now that Wanda and Vision gained a target, they released a powerful energy. Thanos used the gauntlet to blast his own attack, but the result created a large explosion that shook the domain. Vision could go head-to-head with a vibranium body. He had a vibranium suit, an infinity stone in his head, and he was one of the more powerful Avengers, while Wanda has the ability to manipulate Choi's magic, activated due to the Crimson Dimension changing her mutation at birth into an ability to wield and control magical energy. In the matter of seconds, Thanos changed the terrain to his advantage and preventing Vision to phase through. Warping the terrain to his advantage, Thanos created spikes everywhere to target Wanda. While Vision have more physical strength to take on physical damages, Wanda have human-level strength in case of physical strength. The spikes continuously attacked Wanda in every directions and Vision had no choice but to take on Thanos by himself, phasing through and charging directly. He used his vibranium body, throwing a kick to the gauntlet. Thanos wanted to grab his food, but it suddenly became intangible and Vision used energy beam on his face. Closing his eyes, the spikes attacking Wanda stopped and he clenched the gauntlet with Soul Stone glowed brighter. Thanos used the stone to target the stone. Vision may be an android, but he have a soul similar to normal organism. By using the Soul Stone, he got rid of the intangibility of Vision for a second until Wanda suddenly intervened. Thanos was close to taking the Mind Stone, but Wanda manipulate the crimson magic changing the properties of where Thanos stands. The ground became soft like cement, trapping his feet while Wanda proceeded with using her left hand to blast crimson energy while the other grabbed Vision to her side. Using crimson magic to bend the reality around Thanos, now he had to take a defensive stance. Closing his fist, a blue glowed from the gauntlet and the crimson beam changed direction. He used the Space Stone to bend the space inside the domain to move to another position. Jumping high and clenching his gauntlet, a purple lightning beam directed to Wanda and she had to defend by casting a defensive spell. Vision just woke up when he realized he almost lost the Mind Stone. Thankfully Wanda rescued him on time. Comment. 0 comment. Vote. Chapter 107, Chapter 107. Chapter 107. Captain America and Natasha with the others dealing with the injured Proxima and Corvus Glaive, who is currently commanding the rest of the Outriders. Bruce, who happens to have recently arrived, saw that it is Corvus and Proxima. They are the Black Order who was with Thanos. They ambush the spaceship of Asgardian, fought for a long time and in the process killing both Loki and Heimdall. He immediately contacted Thor. Thor, the people of Thanos is here. If you're not too busy, come and deal with this. Thor, who have inspecting the domain that Thanos made, and he kept attacking it with all his strength, but that only resulted to a few tremor. Hearing what Bruce told him, he decided to turn his attention to two Black Orders. Corvus and Proxima only have a few minutes left to live as Thor berserk against them, especially when he remembered that time his brother and best friend dying at the hands of Thanos while he is helpless. Lightning and thunder crackled on the sky as Thor stormed in the middle of the battlefield, blitzkrieging the Outriders along with the thunder striking Corvus and Proxima. Now that they are battle-weary from all the fights, Thor can easily crush them as long as he bombard them with lightning strikes. Thor charging alone, creating an onslaught. Corpse and burned Outriders didn't slow him down. Corvus had no choice but to confront Thor as Proxima is on her last breath. Blood covered her body and burning skins along with battlesuit damaged greatly. Captain Steve, seeing this, stopped for a few seconds as he turned his head to the barrier. The domain, sturdier than the Wakanda's energy barrier, cannot be easily destroyed by Thor, so he thought of someone who have the equal raw power as Thor. Natasha also had an idea, and she already on her contacts to inform Kane of the situation. Natasha: Kane, how long can you be here? Wanda needed help as she is trapped with Vision fighting Thanos. Kane's voice responded, give me a few minutes. I'll be there in a portal. Asterisk 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 asterisk. New York. A few words with each other. I already have an idea of what is happening as Wanda and Vision haven't been able to escape from Thanos in time, and the Mind Stone is one arm away from Thanos. I decided to inform Matt and the others as I need to leave immediately. Matt, tell the others I have somewhere I'm needed for, so you can deal with the rest. Goodbye. The time is tight, so I directly flew on the way to New York Sanctuary, where I can hitch a ride /portal from the sorcerers there. Flying at my top speed, most blood from my battle suit are brush off by the wind. I maneuver to get to the sanctuary and knock on the door hard. It didn't take long enough for someone to open it. What else do you want? The sorcerers will not interfere unless it is dealing with mystical enemies that threaten the world. He didn't finish as I need to interrupt his speech. Take me to where Wanda is, you know, she is in Wakanda, and I need you to directly make a portal there. I gave him a strand of hair that I took from Wanda before I separated, as I know she and Vision will be the one to protect the stone. What is this? The man asked confusedly as he is not sure what to do with the hair. I look at his face and learn that he is genuinely confused, so I had to tell him, get Wong here, make a portal to where Wong is so he can use the hair to locate its owner. The man's expression lighten up as he realizes that was what the hair is for, but don't worry, no need for Wong. I can do it also, but it might take a minute. Really? Please hurry up, time is running and many people might die if it took longer. I had no choice but to trust the man. The spell to locate someone using hairs or other parts of the person might not be a high-level spell, so even though the man is on the young side, he might be able to locate Wanda faster than getting Wong's help that might take a while to locate. The man cast a spell, he weaved numerous times. This is much slower than Doctor Strange, but since he is almost done, I decided to be patient. The man closed his eyes, the spell glows brightly and he put on the sling ring and spark move to create a portal. I immediately saw what is happening on the other side. Vision is using I-beam to blast everywhere. I push the man away from the portal before I passed through. What I saw from the other side was tragic as an explosion happened and Thanos holding Vision from both his right leg and left arm. Thanos tears both his limbs when he notices that the Mind Stone disappeared from his forehead. Wanda is currently unconscious when the last confrontation happened while Vision guarded her. ********. A few minutes ago, Thanos decided to end the battle when he notices Wanda and Vision exchanged words about the Mind Stone. With closed fist, the space distort and he punches the ground that started the tremor inside the domain. Boulders turned into lava filling the cracks. The terrain changed again as Vision levitated and Wanda stayed floating. Thanos uses the Infinity Gauntlet to produce water from air raining down the burning lava that resulted to mist and steam. Along with the distortion of space, Vision and Wanda lost perception, but Thanos can locate Vision's position. Wanda lost the sense of sight and other sense don't have much use in the current situation. The two are near to each other so they can communicate directly to each other with only their communicators. The steam burst towards them as the shield made from chaos magic started corroding. Small amount of steam and mist passed through the shield and directly to Wanda's face. Vision shouted to warn her, but he is a little too late as Wanda already inhaled small amount of it that lead to her getting dizzy and losing balance, as well as her control over the chaos magic is weakening. Vision analyzed the mist, but the mist and steam are normal, but between them are traces of cosmic energy probably used by Thanos using the Reality Stone taking out Wanda. Vision took a stance to defend Wanda. He knows that they already lost to Thanos' tactics using every Infinity Stones. Using the Space Stone to distort the air, the Power Stone to create a preferable terrain and the Reality Stone to turn it into lava as well as the rain to make a steam. Then lastly, using the cover of distortion and the steam as well as the terrain where they had to float, activate the Time Stone along with the Reality Stone to corrode the shield made from the chaos magic and assaulting Wanda with soul attack. Vision saw Thanos walking towards them and dragged the space like a book turning the page. Vision is dragged towards Thanos and held by the neck. Thanos realized that the Mind Stone is missing, but the Infinity Gauntlet felt that it is still nearby. Give me the Mind Stone or that woman will lose her soul for eternity. Thanos used Wanda as a bargain. Vision didn't take long to decide. He opened his palm and the Mind Stone formed in the middle, morphing similar to an eye shape. Thanos, realizing something is not right, looked back at Vision's eyes but then saw the Mind Stone inserted to his eye socket glowed brightly that blinded Thanos for a second. Vision is also technically a supercomputer because of Jarvis, so he has the advantage in planning the fight and analyzing the enemy. He took the precious second and assaulted Thanos' mind unswervingly. His aim was to touch Thanos at point blank so he won't have enough time to defend himself for a second, but this also risk himself as Thanos held his neck and can easily crush it at any time. Comment. 0 comment. Vote. Chapter 108, Chapter 108. Chapter 108. Getting caught in mind assault. Thanos lost a few seconds of precious time as he forgot to close his fist. Thanos intended to close his gauntlet, but Vision is quicker and inserted his arms to prevent Thanos from closing it. Thanos tightened his hold on Vision's neck intending to crush it, but no matter how strong he is, without the boost of the Power Stone from the Infinity Gauntlet, he will have a hard time crushing a vibranium metal with a single hand. Vision, thinking he would cease to exist if he didn't do anything, aimed his eye socket where the Mind Stone is and wielded the cosmic beam straight to Thanos' face. Burning scar on his left side of the face caused by the beam. Because of the mind attack of Vision, Thanos doesn't have the right mind required to utilize all of his strength. While still clenching the Infinity Gauntlet and squeezing Vision's arm, he moved his other arm to turn the beam in other direction. Vision lost the battle in fighting against Thanos. He may not be able to crutch his neck, but breaking it is no big deal. With a broken neck, Vision I-beam lost its main target and Thanos loosened his hand on his neck and instead brought it to Vision's leg. Using raw strength and power, he forcefully tears Vision's arm and leg in the process of recovering from the attack from the Mind Stone. Thanos threw his arm and proceeded to stomp on Vision's head, but a portal just closed with a new arrival. With a few inches away from Vision's head getting crushed, I deployed my optic blast to blast Vision away. Thanos clenched his gauntlet and it glowed all over his body, returning his right mindset from the Mind Stone's assault. He had the bloodline of a Titan, a species with immense physical and psychic strength. Even with an Infinity Stone assaulting his mind only took him several seconds to recover, but the 5 Infinity Stones from the gauntlet also contributed greatly. Looking at the new arrival, Thanos just stared at my eyes. I assume you are here to stop me, but alone. Your courage is commendable, but you are a fool if you don't have sufficient strength. I just glanced at Thanos and looked at the surroundings. Seeing that it is dark and no sunlight passing through, I expected nothing like this. Dark domain with only few lights coming from the fire and lava coming out of the ground. In my mind, there should be a forest and Wanda would choose to destroy the stone only to be brought back by the Time Stone. Now I see why Natasha has to call me. At first, I thought I just needed to assist Wanda and Thor to deal with Thanos, but now I'm alone with any sunlight to confront Thanos. I breathed a long inhale and exhale, then manipulated my energy to reinforce my arms with golden armament. Golden miasma absorbed through my eyes as it brightens with golden hue. Thanos tightened his fist watching me and then threw a punch midair as the Power Stone cosmic energy beamed towards me. I noticed the speed of the beam is much slower than my optic beam, but the amount of time to get it ready to full power cost a few seconds to match Thanos' offense. Golden beam against purple beam battled in the middle of the domain, causing it to shake. The confrontation didn't take long as the cosmic energy from the Infinity Stone is very much stronger than my optic beam. Seeing this, Thanos smirked as the Reality Stone along with the Space Stone manipulated the lava around to attack me from each side. Covered by the magma still hurts my skin if directly touched, so the left golden armament diminished to a simple gauntlet and use it to defend my left side. While my right side, I changed tactics of using my tight hand to take the cosmic beam and absorb it through my right hand and then use the optic blast to blast the lava around. Thanos, thinking that with using only the cosmic beam from the Power Stone is enough to defeat me, provides me with energy from one of the Infinity Stone. Ugh! The Power Stone burned my right hand as purple veins crawling up my arm. Hearing my scream, Thanos added power to the beam as I continuously absorb it and step forward towards Thanos' way. Confused by my tactics, but admired my courage to walk towards him, Thanos notices as we get near to each other that my hand is absorbing the cosmic power that resulted to my arm burning due to the immense energy from the Power Stone as the right sleeve of my battle suit is destroyed to the shoulder. When we are only a few meters away from each other, I smirked at Thanos, then clench my right fist. Whispering under my breath, "One punch." I jumped midway as the cosmic beam was pushed aside by my punch. The power reached Thanos, but he only stepped back from its power. My whole arm is burning and it hurt so greatly that I bit my lips to prevent myself from screaming. I circulated the cosmic energy little by little throughout my body, but it might take a while as Thanos already clenched his fist for another round of battle. My right arm glowed golden armament as I flew towards Thanos. Thanos, seeing my choice of fighting, decided to cooperate. The gauntlet glowed and he threw a punch at the same time as me as our fist connected mid-air. Bang! Crack! The ground created a crater large enough like a boulder-size meteorite crashed. The dark domain crack a bit and the tremoring continues. Wanda and Vision are dragged to the farthest boundary of the domain, but she remain unconscious and Vision is severely damaged while protecting Wanda's body from most impact. When the fists connected, both of us are blasted away, only for me dragging a long trench 100 feet away while Thanos back away for only several steps. The power are unbalanced as my power is insufficient. My plan was not to defeat Thanos but to destroy this domain as Thanos kept powering it with the Infinity Gauntlet from time to time. I need Thor to take down Thanos, preferably with Captain Marvel on the side as well as the Avengers. I just need Thanos to focus on me so he won't strengthen the domain. Thor and the others should be striking the domain as the tremor kept happening, and that should be coming from outside. With my plan ready, I only needed to execute it. Miasma circulating around me and manipulated all throughout my body, overload state. The golden armament formed around my arms, stopping only to my shoulder, and my hair turned gold on the side. Pumping my fist, golden energy burst around me, indicating my invitation of hand-to-hand combat. With my overload state reaching 10th step, my insanity no longer complete like normal, but it is still not the same when losing all control. First, I walk, then jogging, then proceed to running towards Thanos. My speed kept increasing as Thanos' gauntlet glowed red as another gauntlet formed around his right arm and the Power Stone boosted his strength. The golden energy with a hint of cosmic energy from Power Stone reinforced my physique, and adding cosmic energy to the quality of my powers. While Thanos with Titan bloodline, who possess a powerful physical and psychic powers along with the battle experience, is reinforced by the Power Stone. Comment. 0 comment. Vote. Chapter 109, Chapter 109. Chapter 109. Bang. Crash. Blurg. Blood all over my body. Dislocated elbow and teared fragments of my battle suit. The fight only took several minutes before I got punched and thrown away. Again. The only fortunate thing I achieved so far was to let Thanos beat me and focus his attention to me, and never had a chance strengthening the domain, which is shaking more violently than ever. His punches are accurate and no waste of movements. I mean, he beat Hulk with just his raw power and martial arts. So he definitely has more punching power than I do. I could do something similar, but I need to exchange power to reduce my mental control, but I assume that this isn't his full power. He is holding back. I don't know if it is to have enough power to fight Thor with his axe. But the Mind Stone is here, why didn't he take it? He has all the power and the chance. He is staring at me like he has something to say. What is he holding back for? Thanos opened his mouth, not caring about the tremble of the domain or Vision and Wanda, who is on the sidelines gaining consciousness. You are unique. You have something similar to mine. I don't care. I rebutted before he can continue. My sanity is blurring as I took another few steps to my overload state. My thoughts and instincts are combining slowly as I felt that whatever slight thought I have, my body will immediately do it out of instinct. Thanos seems to not care. I interrupting him as he said his piece. Your bloodline has a tracer deviant and it is not something that you can control. My body froze as I stared at his eyes. Thanos raised his fist closed to his face. The soul stone in the gauntlet matches the line of his eyes, glowing like it is staring at my whole being. He continued, your existence are very unique, but I get a glimpse of your being. You have the power to dominate, but a fool not to use it. I did not get to understand immediately what he is saying, but I know he wants to end the conversation since he's stanced ready to rush at me. I easily reacted to it, and I don't want to see how my body can handle another hit from his infinity gauntlet. My eyes glowed bright and a ball of solar energy beamed, traveling at Thanos as fast as light, but he only defended it by throwing a punch directly at it. My optic beam only stayed for 10 seconds before Thanos approached me at point blank. He reached me, his punch was already approaching my chest by the time he realized I wasn't fighting back. I could see the outline of his body movements, but my eyes hides in the glow of optic beam. His punch connected with my chest, shockwaves all around us, especially on my back. My battle clothes destroyed in the process by my body refused to back off. My 2 hands held tightly around his arms. Even thought my skins are burned by the power stone, clothes destroyed, and my insides have damage more severe than I have ever experienced. It is healing and burning at the same time, but I kept holding on, puking my guts out, blood all over my mouth flowing down to the gauntlet. Ugh! With my scream, the pains around my body are reduced as the control of my sanity reaches the lowest level. My body manipulated the last amount of energy inside as it circulated throughout and directed to my hands. My intention was to incinerate even the surface of the skin and muscles of Thanos and distract him of it. Bang! Crimson energy blasted Thanos back as he looked at Wanda. Crimson energy around her, red vapor accumulating on her hands ready to be thrown to their direction. My hands never left Thanos' arms as it slowly burns his skins, and the gauntlet glowed, tearing my flesh and cracks around us as air tremble. Vision, without an arm and a feet, observed the surroundings, especially the domains, which is shaking as cracks forms but far from being destroyed completely. Thanos budged only for a few steps but defended the crimson blast from Wanda. Wanda's red vapor energy reshaped the area as the power behind the chaos magic showed her being a threat. Thanos' superhuman invulnerability is almost useless to Wanda's reality-altering powers. Her energy blast can take him out because Wanda's weak control, as she is currently unstable due to earlier assault by the Soul Stone. Once Thanos lower his guard, she will likely do more damage than I do. My power focuses on the arms of Thanos. Even in exchange of pains, I prevent Thanos from using the Infinity Gauntlet to its full prowess. Vision, watching us, used the Mind Stone inside his eye socket to laser beam the domains to its full power. Thanos, being sandwiched by the reality-altering chaos magic of Wanda and my insanely huge amount of energy focus of his arm, planning to incinerate it, the heat are burning his skin slowly as the gauntlet clenched more tightly. Thanos now has to do something, as he would be only losing his strength as the time passed by and the domain cracking continuously. Infinity Gauntlet closed. The Time Stone shone green light as it created green circular shield for all of us. The time stop only around me and Wanda. Thanos cannot do much as the Time Stone only usable for a few seconds. No matter how powerful the Infinity Gauntlet can be, the Infinity Stones needed proficiency for it to be used expertly. Unlike him, who only have the stones for less than a day, he still don't have the authority to use the Infinity Stones, as the gauntlet have minor consequences. As the Maker, the dwarf rebelled. Thanos' only way is to exchange positions with me. The green circular field returned to the Time Stone as the time resumed. Now me, being used as shield for Wanda's chaos magic, my hair turned all golden now and my asthma released from my body to protect me from the chaos magic of Wanda. Wanda stopped the assault, seeing me being the shield of Thanos. Thanos proceeded to throw a punch to me only for me to budge a little movement. Comment. 0 comment. Vote. Chapter 110, Chapter 110. Chapter 110. The battle inside the domain is an all-out war with lives on the line. While outside the domain, Thor and the other pounding the domain with all their strength. Captain and the other dealing with the Outriders charging towards them even without commanders. Captain Marvel flew down earlier as her fight is done at the outer space. Because Ebony Maw received the message that their master, Thanos, is already on Earth. He confronted Captain Marvel. The fight didn't take too long, but he still is a great space pirate and Thanos' subordinate. As one of the Black Order, he had the power to contend with the likes of Doctor Strange and Iron Man, but with Captain Marvel and her great powers, even the sorcery he learned from other species that they conquered all his life proved to be almost useless, but still dealt damages. The fight was full of explosions and psychokinesis controlling the surrounding to his favor. Blasts and metals explosion destroyed the spaceships. The power of Captain Marvel increased the longer the fight is. She immediately flew to Wakanda as soon as she finished, but what she saw was a dark domain. A little inquiry from the others, she got the impression that she was with Thanos, but Thor chose to believe her. Now in the present, Thor and Captain Marvel work together to attack the domain as it would crumble soon. The cracks enlarging, Thanos must be inside with Vision and Wanda fighting for the Mind Stone. Both people from inside and outside felt the domain shaking as the fight never stops, and they are on the climax of the conflict. Present on the inside, I blooded, bathed in blood. It seemed like there was no part of my body that wasn't wounded or broken. My chest ached and my mind churned. If I moved carelessly, I know what would happen. Thanos' arm is burned and it is not healing or not chose to, as he can reverse the wound by using the time stone, but he just looked down at me with my back on the ground, near death. His clothes were not as good as earlier as he fought his ways through many battle. Thanos stared at the Mind Stone on Vision lasering the domain and Wanda, conjuring a powerful chaos magic, her hair floating around, eyes glowing red. She positioned her body, trying protect Vision, and her posture showed the attitude of ready to risk it all. After a moment of hesitation, he steeled himself and decided to risk it. The situation was such that he needed to gamble. But just when he was about to walk forward, ba-boom! He felt like he heard something. Ba-boom! He heard it once again. It was a heartbeat. Ba-boom! 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 Now he was sure. This sound was a heartbeat. A very loud heartbeat, and it was coming from Badum. The Infinity Gauntlet glowed all color, ready to throw a punch towards me. Wanda, staring on our way, released the chaos magic from her whole body to the sky or the top of the domain. The domain started altering as cracks formed quickly. The domain is on the verge of crumbling. Seeing this, Thanos chose to power up the domain as it clashed together with Wanda's ability. Wanda's chaos magic that can alter reality clashed with the Infinity Gauntlet of Thanos. The two powers can create an explosion powerful enough to blow a country or even the continent to the kingdom come if careless. The conflict has to be stopped. Vision paused the lasering on the domain as he glimpsed on my way. I stared at Vision, not facial expressions, no words, but we read the message on both our eyes except his is one eye and one the Mind Stone. Taking the Mind Stone out of his eye socket, he held it in his palm and flicked it towards Thanos. Thanos glanced at the yellow stone coming at his way. He stopped the clash with Wanda as he readied to catch the Mind Stone, but catch a glimpse of me kneeling down, slamming my hands and feet to the ground and jump at the Mind Stone in midair. With less than a meter from the Mind Stone, Thanos' right arm almost grabbed the Mind Stone and decided to move his hand, which is donning the Infinity Gauntlet, to strike me with unimaginable force. Less than a second, like the time slowed down, my hand reaching to the Mind Stone as well as Thanos. Ba boom. Bang. Crash. The hand donning the Infinity Gauntlet connected to my body as it sent me flying backwards. I was sent crashing to the domain. Every breath, every subtle twitch of my muscle hurts as the barrage of energy felt like boiling my insides. The energy flowing my insides as it flowed through not so smoothly, but the unimaginable force coursing through my every being. I stood up and dragged myself out of the collapsing domain. I am tired and in pain, but fortunately, alive and was close to being done. Vision looked at my state, Wanda charge her magic to the domain as it is crumbling and cracks now everywhere. Thanos look at Vision, who don't have any more strength to stop him, and Wanda, unstably using the power of chaos magic and the domain crumbling, but his face is still calm. The Mind Stone clinged to the Infinity Gauntlet at last, but he didn't feel the power of all of the Infinity Stones. Something is wrong. He glanced at the gauntlet, but one is missing. The Power Stone. He looked to his side, trying to look where I might be, but no one is there. He tried looking at lower part in front of him, and what he sees made him feel the goosebumps and the threat of the enormous amount of cosmic energy. Thanos' mind amalgamations of cosmic power that is rushing towards him faster than his eye movement. The fight needed to come to an end eventually, though. And the next few moments would decide the outcome. Comment. 1 comment. Vote. Chapter 111, Chapter 111. Chapter 111. Crack. Ba-boom. The domain collapses completely. Captain and the others saw the destruction inside and gasp, seeing that someone is sent out like a meteor to the plains, then to the mountainside hundreds of meters away. The mountainside full of trees and burning ground. Thor and Captain Marv are beyond surprised as they saw who it was. Asterisk 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 asterisk. I felt it. The energy and the purple cosmic power reinforced my right arm and feet. I pushed myself to the limit of my speed. The ground crack and crater formed as I dashed to Thanos, who tried to look at my direction, but I crouched down lower than his perception and my favorite body position of throwing a punch. One serious punch. My whole arm coated with purple cosmic energy with thin line of golden miasma wrapped around my fist. The space distorted and the surroundings turned glaring purple and yellow spark. Thanos' thoughts slowed as time and space distorted around my arms. His response was quick, but it is already too late. The Infinity Gauntlet twitch, but don't have enough time to close as my fist connected to his chest close to where his heart might be. I can't strike his head since he is much taller, and he might have time to parry or evade it. The space distortion created a shock waves that made the air trembled and anything around us is forcefully blown away. Thanos' fingers twitch as he was sent away, crashing through the crumbling domain and straight to hundreds of meters away, launching him like a comet. My mind forcefully shut down and I closed my eyes. My last thought was that hoping Thor aim for the head and save the universe from the snap. When I opened my eyes, what I saw was I am alone leaning on the stone, without any bandage or signs of being treated. I turned my gaze forward and my mind cleared as well as my eyesight, taking information from my surroundings. My eyes trembled greatly to what I heard, and then my heart shake before something similar to blinking happened before my very eyes. Asterisk 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 asterisk. Thor saw the person sent far away like a comet. The force behind that amazed him, but he had no more time to think as his body flew to the direction of that place. He saw what seems to be a burning crater, and at the middle of it was a purple-skinned alien with tattered uniform, burned arms and a huge wound extending across his chest. Thanos. Thor shouted as soon as he saw Thanos injured with Infinity Stone attaching to the Infinity Gauntlet. He has a weapon specifically forged to kill Thanos. Hurling the Stormbreaker, Thor threw it towards Thanos. The Stormbreaker cleaved everything on its path as it is so powerful that it rushed like a meteor. This was truly a display of power and ferocity. This shows Thor's madness with all his powers. A large explosion sounded the moment the axe hit and cleaved Thanos' head. The hammer side hit the earth itself and trembled from the shock while a 5 meters large and 3 meters deep crater was formed. Surprisingly, at his last moment, Thanos didn't scream nor beg for mercy, he simply smiled and waited for his death. That's how it should have happened, but the Infinity Gauntlet glimmers green light and a spell casted by Thanos before his head fall to the ground. Thanos' mind was shocked but not enough to make him admit defeat. All of his organs were in turmoil, the right side of his rib cage was mostly pulverized and his lungs were perforated by his bones as if by shrapnel. Staring at the ruins, his thoughts cleared as he contemplated something in his mind. After a short briefing with his own mind, he chose the latter. Thanos used the Time Stone at the last moment when the axe cleaves his neck. The time for him reverses, as his neck connects again and the chest wound returning to its normal state but much slower. The gauntlet shone as Thor wanted to retrieve the Stormbreaker, but Thanos gripped onto it and rushed to Thor. Thor called the thunder and lightning surrounds his body as he threw a punch towards Thanos. He may be powerful, but without the axe channeling all of his powers, he won't have enough strength to contend with Thanos with his Infinity Gauntlet. Bang! Thor sent by a punch by Thanos. A 5 meters large and 3 meters deep crater was formed. Captain Marvel, who have been observing this happening, was shocked that Thanos returned alive as she saw his neck cleaved cleanly, but she got ready for battle. She charges full strength and aimed her photon blast to Thanos. Thanos defended with the gauntlet and landed squarely at the ground. She pursued and exuded her photon blast and the energy streaking the ground around the field with Thanos in the middle. Thanos gripped both of his hand, one is the Infinity Gauntlet and the other was the Stormbreaker. The gauntlet glowed red, altering the reality and absorbing the photon energy and all energy around her to the Infinity Gauntlet. Captain Marvel boosted the power, but it is useless as the unlimited energy she had was being absorbed into the Infinity Gauntlet. She eventually stopped as she noticed it is not only useless but her powers and energy deteriorating her battle armor. Tightening his fist, the Space Stone glowed bluish as Captain Marvel was pulled no matter how she struggled as the space contained her to her position. Thanos smirked at the pitiful woman radiating brightly but cannot leave from his pull. The Stormbreaker shook as Thor is calling for it, because it is different from Jania, no worthiness is needed for it to be wielded by anyone, so Thanos raised it and bashed Captain Marvel with it. After the dust began to settle, Captain Marvel could be seen standing struggling to keep her balance against the waves of the wind and the shockwave creating a tremor in the area. She absorbed most of the shock but was still sent dozens of meters away from the initial clash. In the end, those tremors stopped after some time. Thanos slowly landed on the ground before looking at the scene of destruction he caused. The Stormbreaker left his hand as it is called by Thor 100 meters away. They stared at each other as Thor's emotions flows to his eyes looking at Thanos coldly. Thanos is an enemy he wants to. No, he must be killed no matter what. Thunder and lightning strikes as well as Asgardian or Odin force charge towards Thanos. Thanos stanced to defend but something else is happened. Bang! Boom! Strike! The surroundings are rained by lightning strikes and Thor rushing to the middle, but there is no Thanos. Thanos is gone. Thor heard explosions and screaming from the other side of the forest, which is where Captain Steve and the others were. Bastard. Comment. 0 comment. Vote. Chapter 112, Chapter 112. Chapter 112. Captain Steve and Natasha along with the others look to the direction of Wanda and Vision. Vision, who lost 2 limbs on the battle, the Mind Stone is taken by Thanos in order to create a position where a chance of severely injuring him might weaken Thanos. Wanda, who remains quiet after the domain collapses, her chaos magic happens to be healing her internal injuries as well as the assault of the Soul Stone from Thanos. Her mentality is still in the state of confusion, so she doesn't take notice of her surroundings after blasting the domain and sending Thanos far away. Wanda's natural durability without her energy shields is human level. Her unstableness didn't escape from Vision and Captain Steve's. Vision's durability on his own is far higher. Even though his internal vibranium body have some damage, he still can take care of himself. His body are combined with the technology of nanotech of Earth and the technology of Shitori. Similar to Ultron but more advanced and compact. Vision communicated with Captain Steve. Captain, you should treat Kane first. His injuries are far more severe and serious. I don't know if an injury caused by violent cosmic energy can be treated, but please do all you can. Natasha and the others have gone to the place where Vision pointed at, large crater with radioactive debris due to the explosion of the cosmic energy. Their uniform are not suitable to help rescuing someone bathed with radioactive energy, so T'Challa and Bruce together lifted the boulders and debris. After a minute, a body have been found. Bruce, we found him. Kane's injuries are devastating to look at. The radioactive energy are rampaging inside him, but it is not dangerous for him. Thankfully, he's still alive. T'Challa, let's lift him up first. Take him to the medical experts to be treated. They look at the body full of burns and savage wounds. Bruce, these wounds are slowly healing itself, but it is agonizing. Luckily, Kane is unconscious. They just look around the body as they suddenly noticed that something purple bead twinkle on the ground where they lifted Kane from. Rocket recognized the stone as he was one who have been influenced by it. That is the Power Stone, one of the Infinity Stone Thanos was trying to collect. I assume this guys took it from Thanos and hit him with it. It's a miracle he's still alive. No one lived touching the Power Stone and even directly used it as a weapon, except for unique life forms with special constitution and powers. Rocket introduced the force of a Infinity Stone as well as its danger. Your friend here even used the stone and blasted Thanos. Look at his arm, purple vein and black burns caused by the energy from the Power Stone, but he took it like a man. He's admirable. Groot nodded as he seems to understand what Rocket implied. Most likely he knows the story of Quill bravely holding the Power Stone. I am Groot. Taking a device from his bag, Rocket reveals a round object and crouched to the Power Stone. This device will prevent any of its energy from leaking and so no one can touch it. The other nodded as they resumed rescuing the injured people. Crackle. Bang. Thunder and lightning strikes keep coming down as clouds darken and radiant lights clashing with each other together on the other side of the forest. Badum. 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 Their hearts tightened as they felt the powers clashed intensely. This signifies Thanos is alive and still have strength to fight back. The conflict is still not finished. The threat is still fighting back. There is no rest as they need to protect the last Infinity Stone. Captain Steve, Rocket and Groot, go take the orb to the back. Natasha, take Wanda and Vision to the safety. And Bruce. Bruce spoke before Captain said anything. "I'll go with Rocket to protect the stone while taking Kane to safety." Captain Steve nodded as the rest formed a line of defense in case Thanos come to collect the last Infinity Stone. Captain Steve with T'Challa and Bonds and Sam and War Machine on the lookout at the air. Shuri and Okoye lastly farther to provide long-range support. Natasha carrying Wanda while running, but Wanda woke up and spoke. "I can still fight, put me down." Thanos. "He's here already." Rocket ran with Groot-wrapped Vision with his root vines and Bruce carrying Kane on the shoulder of the Hulkbuster. Bang! Boom! Crackle! Thanos walked out of the tunnel with closed fist. The space portal close as he seriously looked at everyone's posture. T'Challa shouted first as he advanced with the others. The three super soldiers charged together. Thanos fought them all out. The gauntlet beam and grip Bucky's vibranium arm, then threw a punch to T'Challa. Steve struck his knees, but he got hit by Bucky's body as Thanos swung him towards Steve. War Machine bombarded Thanos with grenades and large caliber of bullet, but Thanos easily defended it by casting a shield in front of him. Sam flew behind Thanos and Thanos struck him down with Reality Stone, altering the explosions and bullets to a several quantity of fireballs. Sam hit by the fast approaching mini fireballs as his wings are damaged and even his legs have burns. War Machine seeing that wanted to come and to rescue Sam, but stopped by Thanos, who activated the Space Stone to pull him and alter the ground by confining him. He is buried under the ground with soils changed to a much more harder material. Comment. 0 comment. Vote. Chapter 113, Chapter 113. Chapter 113. Watching the guys solved easily by one or two waves of his hand. Okoye and Shuri doubted if they can contribute enough strength to stop someone like Thanos. Okoye gained courage as she dashed toward Thanos with her spear and stabbed it to his face directly. Thanos grabbed it with no difficulty and clasped it in his hand. Okoye pulled the spear, but it didn't budge. Thanos front kick her. The kick may look normal, but the amount of strength of it might directly kill her, as she is not an enhanced individual. T'Challa came to her rescue as he took the foot with his back and took Okoye. He may have saved her from the kick, but the force still sent them away for 10 meters, crashing to a huge tree. Shuri, who is young but not naive, hid herself to a tree and assaulted on the blind side. Thanos, who is moving forward, thrown the vibranium spear on Shuri's face. If she moved, Shuri would have died. However, Thanos had no intention to kill, as he wants to let this people's fate decided by the snap. He just gripped his gauntlet and took the vibranium gauntlet from Shuri. Bucky rushed to Shuri's side as she is currently shocked by Thanos as she just stared at his way. She felt death staring at her but evaded her because someone decided not to kill her outrightly. Taking the spear bound to the tree, Bucky tear apart half of the tree to get the spear and charge to Thanos with Steve on the other side. One who have vibranium semi-gauntlet shield and the other had a vibranium arm and vibranium spear attack on each side. They rushed to attack but stopped due to the shield in front of Steve as Thanos deflected the spear and threw a punch at Bucky. Bucky defended with his vibranium arm but got hit by another fist with the gauntlet this time. His eyes changed color before coming back to normal. Bucky received a mental command by Thanos. Yeah, he had been controlled by the Mind Stone. He took the vibranium gauntlet and put it on. While Steve saw what happened, he desperately called for Bucky, but Thanos is in front of him throwing punches at Steve. Steve's arms lost the shield as it come off by all the attack he received from Thanos. Thanos, wanting to grab him too and touch him to use the Mind Stone and made him like Bucky, but suddenly, the Soul Stone activated. Thanos saw the soul and memories of Steve. His pure heart and conviction, the overflowing confidence and justice he believes, and his belief on himself is something Thanos witnessed from Steve's soul. Thanos' conflicted expression showed on his face as he looked at Steve struggling to lift the gauntlet out of his hands. Thanos decided not to kill, so he kicked forwardly at Steve, creating a small crater below him. A black shadow surprise attacked on Thanos' side. Black Panther pounced at him at full strength like a predator pouncing at a bigger predator. His Black Panther suit is charged with kinetic energy from Thanos' kick earlier, so he is almost ready to release it. Only, his plan is foiled by Bucky, who acted as guard of Thanos. An emotionless Bucky return, or even a new persona. The Winter Soldier attacked the Black Panther, catching him off guard. T'Challa released the kinetic energy anyway, still confused by Bucky's betrayal, but Bucky retaliated with the vibranium gauntlet donned on his hands. The Black Panther suit met its nemesis, but his strength is still enhanced, so close combat bet the two proceeds. Black Panther without the Black Panther suit's advantage against Bucky, who have vibranium gauntlet controlled by the Mind Stone, fought in closed combat. Thanos continued to walk. Wanda and Natasha met him midway. Wanda unleashed the power of chaos magic, producing a powerful form of energy blast transcending her powers than she ever been able to do. Her newfound strength poured the posture of stability and harnesses the power of spells she learned from Ancient One, combining with the chaos magic and eldritch spells. Hulkbuster armor landed on their side as Bruce unleashed his own attack as the repulsor beamed along with the powerful Unibeam towards Thanos. Natasha, left alone without a powerful energy blast like the Hulkbuster armor and the chaos magic of Wanda. Fortuna, she took with her the weapons of Corvus Glaive and Proxima Midnight. Thanos, fighting against the Unibeam and Wanda's powerful chaos magic with the Infinity Gauntlet shielding him. Thor and Captain Marvel arrived at the scene and joined to attack together. Thor released a Nova Power lightning with Odin Force, and Captain Marvel blasted her way through with Photon Light Beam. The amount of force combined from all of their energies gave them confidence to kill Thanos. If this continues, Thanos had no other choice but to surrender. Concurrently, Thanos is a force much more dangerous than any being Earth have ever faced, with 5 stones in the Infinity Gauntlet and the energies it has to absorb. The Infinity Gauntlet release a crack, inclining its absorbing power is on the limit. Ugh! Bang! Kaboom! The gauntlet unleashed a blinding radiance as the whole area was blasted to oblivion. The forest destroyed in the process. The people around are sent by the blast for a few meters. Bruce Banner saved Natasha on the last moment by covering her body with the armor. The AI calculated the energy accumulated, so he moved immediately to protect Natasha in case she was harmed. Comment. 0 comment. Vote. Chapter 114. Chapter 114. Chapter 114. Thanos looked around and finds ruins and destruction, reminding him of his home planet and all the planets he conquered along the way due to his ambitions. Thanos glanced at Thor, who stood up gripping his axe, and said, "Thor Odinson." There is no other context, as there is no more time to waste and Thor don't have any plans on listening. Captain Marvel and Wanda also prepared for another confrontation to obliterate Thanos, as he is not unharmed from all those force from different energies. Specifically speaking, he is hurt from Kane's last punch earlier, and to now, he doesn't rest for a second. His conviction and ambition powering him up to walk forward no matter how much harm and injuries he got along the way. Boom. Thing. Thanos utilized the Infinity Gauntlet, his goal achieved by freezing the time with a green dome. Clenching the gauntlet once again, he disappears from the dome as the time resumes. Rocket and Groot running through the forest, no idea where is their destination. They got blasted by the explosion earlier, Vision calculating their route to escape from Thanos, but he also malfunctioned due to the recent multiple energies blasting them away, and Vision got harm as he used his body to defend Rocket and Groot. Crackle! A blue portal appeared in front of them as it formed a cloudy projection as Thanos arrived slowly. Rocket and Groot didn't have the chance to move as the gauntlet gleam, and then a faint force blasted them both, causing them to be stuck on their place, unconscious. The orb floated to his hand and he crushed it with raw strength. The Power Stone revealed itself, holding it on his palm. At last, all Infinity Stone gathered at one place, collected by one person attached to a single gauntlet. The universe's 6 different elemental crystals held by Thanos. Not everyone is capable of physically putting on the Infinity Gauntlet. The amount of energies and power it contains the wearer and puts an unimaginable strains, and most people who tried to use it would not be able to physically or mentally hold up against that onslaught of power. This is the biggest reason others couldn't use the Infinity Gauntlet, as the amount of power and the effort would tear them apart. Donning the completed Infinity Gauntlet, he stood proudly and looked at the sun, reminiscing a special memory as he only has to take the last step. Thor and Captain Marvel flew at their top speed towards Thanos as they saw him just standing there and then turning his gaze to their direction. Captain Marvel's onslaught of photon blitz beamed through the space towards Thanos, who seems unguarded. So Thor comes raging in looking for Thanos because he's got a bone to pick with him. He wants his very own personal revenge for what he did to him, his brother, and his people. Since Thor is so damned enraged, he not only wants to kill Thanos, he wants Thanos to concede and accept that the mighty god of thunder is more powerful than he is. So we get this scene in return. Thor stopped mid-air for a moment with electrifying Stormbreaker and then hurled it forward with all his power. The only problem with this is that Thanos is extremely smart and immediately realizes Thor's lust for revenge and uses his last bit of energy to outwit Thor. He blasted the Stormbreaker with Infinity Beam, changing its direction and reducing its power, but it is still threatening and he can't stop it completely because of Thanos wanted to die. His unabated subconscious rising to the surface. If Thanos wanted to stop Stormbreaker, he could have stopped it with the gauntlet, but concedes in only parrying it. The Stormbreaker arrive along with the photon beam but stop for a few meters due to a barrier protecting Thanos. Thanos' declarations are heard by all the people of this region, including the Earth's mightiest heroes. I am inevitable. Snap. Then proceed to finally realize his dream to erase half of all life in the universe. Asterisk 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 asterisk. When I opened my eyes, what I saw was I am alone leaning on the stone, without any bandage or signs of being treated. I turned my gaze forward and my mind cleared as well as my eyesight, taking information from my surroundings. My eyes trembled greatly to what I heard, and then my heart shake before something similar to blinking happened before my very eyes. I am inevitable. Snap. The Infinity Gauntlet snapped the existence of half the life of the universe. I failed. We failed. I only heard Thor's voice as he screamed to Thanos, "What did you do?" Captain Marvel confusedly look around as ashes flying even though there is not much wind. The skies is grey as the clouds forming to block the sunlight. Looking at Thanos' actions and words, he was trying to show how powerful he is to Thor. Talking big and try to shame Thor. He wanted to make him believe he was stronger than him. Thanos gripped his burned arm and the gauntlet melted. The gauntlet still gleam as a portal appeared on his back, taking him away with the Infinity Stones. Thor just stopped screaming as he saw his friends and the people around disappearing as ashes blown away, erasing their existence from this universe. I stood up and looked at the people who disappear one by one and together at the same time. Groot, T'Challa, Shuri, Bucky, Sam, Wanda. The others just stared at their friends and people vanishing like a smoke. Depression filled their faces as defeat and tiredness revealed itself one after another. I know this might happen. I consider this as possibility. I've known the future but doesn't have enough strength to change it. The timeline is forcing itself no matter how much I tampered it. And I learned the most valuable thing that this battle has to offer. Thanos was inevitable. My thoughts blurring, but I persisted and floated to Thor and Captain Marvel aka Carol. Thor, let's go to the others. I didn't waited for his response as I floated to the direction of the others. I saw Natasha and Bruce helping Rhodey out of his armor as his lower half is still stuck underground. Captain Steve just sat down, face filled with tiredness, looking at the surroundings. I guessed what he was thinking. We lost. Comment. 0 comment. Vote. Chapter 115. Chapter 115. Chapter 115. Captain Steve looked at me in tatters, injured. My one arm is burned with purple veins crawling reaching my shoulders. I don't have to say so much things as Captain Steve understood what is happening and what must be done, but the feeling of losing someone they cared about still affected even the man who had strong convictions. I raised my other hand, which is all right, and tapped his shoulder. Others just watched on the side but refrained from speaking anything, though they saw me on my current condition. Captain, the world is now in chaos. Our responsibility as Earth's mightiest heroes isn't done yet. The world lost the war, but it still has a leader. The world must have a guide with hope. Some people who will take advantage of the world's chaotic situation. I stared at his eyes. We both saw deeper that we are all the same, tired and wanted a rest, but I continued a hope. There will be hope. We temporarily lost the battle, but we must prepare for war. We did not lose all of us. We all looked at each other and nodded to each other. Thor seriously agreed as he still at a loss about his failure. He thinks it is his responsibility. His failure that costed everyone to fail and causing Thanos to succeed in snapping his fingers. We all look at Captain America with resolve. Captain Steve stood straight like a commander ready to command his subordinates. As a captain, he has the responsibility to lead and guide not only the heroes but the people who have lost their ways. The world, the universe rather, is in chaos. The heroes failed to foil the way of blocking Thanos' plans. Captain Steve resolutely commanded Rhodey, connect to the military. The Avengers is on initiative as an organization. We serve no one and only focus on protecting the peace of the world. Yes, Captain. Rhodey might receive a complicated order and the procedure might be difficult to finish, but there is no timeline for his command. Captain Steve glanced at Natasha wanting to open his mouth, but Natasha already opened hers. Natasha, I'll connect to the shield. Captain Steve nodded while the rest, we are responsible for enforcing the law around the world, silence those with voices that conveys conflicts and more chaos. Lead the people to help themselves and their neighbors to stop turmoils from their own communities. Kill those who desire unspeakable crime and terrorism. The current world must need a peaceful voice of the law enforcement, but some had to be a forceful bullet. Steve's eyes are tinged with coldness when he spoke those words. He may be a hero who lead justice and good heart, but he is a soldier first, a man before becoming a hero and savior. Yes, Captain. Thor nodded and replied a few words before he took off. "I'll let the Asgardian provide a hand." Captain Marvel aka Carol Danvers interrupted the discussion as she blurted out what should be done. "Wait, shouldn't we first find Thanos? The Infinity Stones is with him. We take the stones, kill him and bring everyone back." Rocket responded with his classic sarcastic remarks. "You're right, woman, we should do that, except we have done that exactly but failed, and you are aware what happened when Thanos snapped his fingers. His arm is burned by the immense power and the gauntlet melted on his skin. He must have already escaped out there hiding with the use of Space Stone, and don't forget, the Time Stone can reverse his body to peak state." Rocket got emotional, especially since Groot is also included to the snap. Captain Steve didn't took Rocket's words to heart as he asked, "Don't take his words literally, he is just emotional. Please understand. By the way, what is your name and are you also a human?" Captain Marvel responded with just glance, but in her mind, she took Rocket's words. No matter what his tone when he said it, he spoke facts and truths as she also witnessed everything that happened. "Captain Steve, I've heard of you. You may call me Carol or Carol Danvers. I'm a human, a pilot exactly who have been involved to extraterrestrial with Nick Fury. I roam the universe, that's all I can talk about right now." Captain Steve nodded as he doesn't have any obligation to investigate someone who have helped them fight Thanos and his army while protecting the world. Especially, those inside Nick Fury's circle. Okoye, who have been watching the discussion at the side, listen attentively, but her mind still in shock as both the Kind and the princess disappeared from the snap. Her duty as a Wakanda's Dora Milaje was to protect the royal family. She should have been prioritizing the people of Wakanda, but instead chose to listen first to Captain Steve in cases of important informations. Thanos left with the Infinity Stones. Only few know what happened after Thanos' snap. The last words of her king reminded her that this will no be the end. The Council of Wakanda have been contacting her of the situation. The people around the world disappeared simultaneously. This phenomenon only happened at same time as the alien spacecrafts sending outriders or mindless alien creatures to attack the Earth. The rest of the outriders have been killed all over the world. The only problem was to find Thanos with the stone and take back all the people that disappears. Captain Steve gave command appropriately for each members. The world is experiencing a huge phenomena and someone has to solve these problems before it turns into a larger scale of chaos. Captain Steve looked at all of us as he eyed Carol and me. "Do you have any plans, Carol? You said you've been in outer space all this time. Do you have any idea where Thanos might hide or any of his headquarters?" Captain Marvel thought for a moment, however, shook her head as she replied, "No, my sector have never been in conflict with Thanos and his order, but there should be information I can find. The only problem is it will take a long time hoeing back and forth between here and the Kree Empire. I only listen to their discussion as I have depleted my energy and having a hard time staying awake. The arm which held the power gem have difficulty in healing itself as the huge amount of energy from the power gem is influencing the solar energy should be used to help the arm heals. The purple veins are throbbing, muscles constantly tightening and the energy are forcing its way to my head. I have to provide a portion of my focus on controlling it little by little in order to prevent it going up unless it goes to my brain." "Captain." I subconsciously mouthed that word so the two people look at me simultaneously. The two look at each other and turn to me and wait for me to continue. I might know something. I struggled to form words as I'm thinking of where to start. Captain Marvel frowned, but Captain Steve only walked towards me and helped sit down and responded, "You still all right? Tell us what you know slowly." I gave a glance at Captain Marvel and said, "Mr. Tony Stark should have fought with Thanos with Doctor Strange, the person who's holding the time gem. Thanos got the time gem before he got here, so they already fought, but since the beginning, Thanos have never killed anyone." Captain Steve and the others also realized this but refrained from talking. Thor left earlier to travel to other country and solve the rest of the Outriders. Carol, how do you know where they fought? And how can you be so sure they got spared instead? I gave her a deep look with my tired eyes. Let me finish. Carol paused for a while and nodded, seeing me getting silent. They should be in the planet Titan. Thanos lived there until its demise. Don't ask how I know, just go there and you can save Mr. Stark and the others. Someone might know the location of Thanos after he snap. After saying all my piece, I close my eyes. I had to pretend losing consciousness due to my injuries. I don't know how to explain how I know the location of Mr. Stark and the others are, since I've never left the planet or have contacts to a very long distance. Carol and Steve look at each other, thinking the same, that they still dumbfounded about the information. Steve chose to trust my words and asked Carol, "Kane have no reasons to lie, so maybe you can go to the home planet of Thanos. There is a big chance what he said is the truth, and I also have confidence that with Tony's brain, our success of locating Thanos will have great boost." Comment. 1 comment. Vote. Chapter 116, Chapter 116. Chapter 116. Captain Marvel is still skeptical about the information given but still nodded. There is no other way, so she might just go on her way to planet Titan in case she find Thanos there or someone who might know. Carol discuss a few things before flying to the sky at speed faster than any fighter jet Earth has produced. The bright comet flying upwards disappeared after a few moments of entering the darker space. Quinjet and Dragonflyers landed and opened its hatches in order for the team to enter. The team are separated by pairs and some are individuals. The world are in panic as half of the population disappeared. It may take a very long time before this calm down. Furthermore, they need to explain few things and information about Thanos and the war. The team left immediately. Okoye stayed in the Wakanda to help the last royal family, the Queen. The mother of T'Challa and Shuri will have to take the position of Wakanda's leader for the time being. Asterisk 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 asterisk. On the other side of the ocean, Eric Killmonger and Pietro fought the last groups of Outriders. The team of soldiers driving the tanks and air fighters dealt with spacecraft or the dropships. Suddenly, people started to disappear one by one and then half panicked as they have no idea what suddenly occurred. The Outriders took the chance to wreak havoc into the middle of the formation. Pietro and Leopard Eric has to come and save them. First, was the alien attacks and then people disappearing simultaneously. Most of the people thought this is the end of the world. Their loved ones, family and friends watching the records of heroes along with the military battle the aliens. Some startled by the disappearance of half the people in the room, and some took advantage of the chaos to create more lawlessness. In only a few dozens of minutes, explosion and fires inside the city caused destruction and catastrophic damages to the properties. Police did their jobs, but the mobs are the majority and some people just remain watching the chaos. While aliens attacked their planet, humans scattered instead of being together to solve the problem. The humanity diminished as the lawlessness ensued and encouraged other groups to fight and steal whatever they got their hands on. Some newscasters reported the situations even in the midst of pandemic. a pandemic akin to a deadly virus. Some leaders of the country disappeared due to the snap. The country's most powerful leader used excessive force since law and order don't have any effects for the first few hours. It didn't take too long as the Avengers revealed itself. The team solved the people either by soft words or strong fists. The media has to create a story in order to get people's attention. According to the phenomena, the leader of the attack have a powerful technology that influence the people of Earth. They freeze half of the people and took the other half as hostages. The technology is so powerful and the leader used it to disrupt the world's order to create a conflicts on the inside. The majority of the rest of the current population believes it temporarily. They have no other choice since they thought it was the government's way of saying that the people are not dead, so they will have a chance that they will come back. However, some who have brains refuse the childish and illogical things that the government told the masses. Furthermore, minor cultists believes that this is the world apocalypse. They call the people to their biddings as they believe that they have a way to survive the apocalypse if they chose to follow. Special forces are sent to every part of their countries to stop a possible terrorisms. This is a great time to move and terrorize the people and plans for revolution. The plan to bring down their country's government and change the rulers to themselves is a very dangerous no matter what country they are in. Special forces have the advantages of information, training and technology. This is also a good time to clean up the terrorist and foil their plans. The Russia have the most difficult situation as the outriders terrorized their country while half of the population disappeared and the other panicked. Government, politicians, military and the Secret Service poured their resources together. They have few superhumans, so they had to band together in order to remain seated on their respective positions. If they lose to the mobs, all their authority will be deemed useless since no one follows their rules anymore. The privileges their positions brought to them is insurmountable, so banding together can create a different way to tackle the problems that the other country also faces. Comment. 0 comment. Vote. Chapter 117, Chapter 117. Chapter 117. On the side of the Asia, North Korea have the most orderly citizens because of lack of information coming from international left them confused and don't know what is happening. The military led them and told lies one after another. The outriders are still not all dead yet when the snap happens. The soldiers lost many comrades, because of their lacking abilities to deal to clusters of outriders. They lost another formation and a lot of normal citizens died due to the neglect. For Lila, the most saddest part was Nara became dust beside her. She immediately contacted the rest of the Avengers and got the message of failing to stop Thanos. Lila and Sky find it difficult finishing the rest of the Outriders since the dropships have only 2 left while the others are crumbled to the ground. Fortunately, Thor, the god of thunder, with his new axe, the Stormbreaker, easily destroyed the rest of the dropships. The amount of lightning raining down scared the soldiers shitless. The normal citizens got down on their knees thinking a god came down for them. Now, Thor created a new worshippers as his timely rescue have been witnessed by them. Sky and Lila just rested for a few minutes before leaving. The rest of the Outriders are left to the military, the room where the high officials have been infiltrated by some Outriders. Because Lila is not in great mood, she didn't lift a hand to rescue them. She reasoned that they are not good guys, they are thugs who ruled the country and enslaved the citizens. No matter what, she didn't directly bring her knife, so it doesn't count as her killing them, they are just another casualties. The 2 women talk about gossips and other topics while resting. They deserve to sit for a moment even though the rest of the world is not in good shape. The military saw them both not helping to deal with the rest of the Outriders, but they got the message that they need to prepare to help the chaotic situation of the other nations. The officials who have high rank shouted and argued to both women, thinking that they should help them kill the Outriders since they are powerful. Sky learned some of the Korean languages, so she understands what these people are talking about. She planned to argue back with them, but Lila just gave them a middle finger before teleporting to different location. Seeing the women disrespecting them on their own country, the face of this North Korean officials turned red from anger. The supreme leader of the North Korea learned the situation. The two women don't have the intention to fight for them anymore. Lila and Sky strolled the capital swaggering like they don't care about the stares of others. Some of their battle clothes are covered in blood, so their aura have the intensity that scared the normal people with weaker will. The supreme leader boarded the helicopter to meet with them. The helicopter landed not long after. He got down with his subordinates. His steps are heavy and carried a sense of authority. This sign that they are not here to beg. The other subordinates walked towards them while careful not to advance more than the supreme leader of North Korea. Lila and Sky just glanced at them. They didn't make a gesture of sign of respect that irked the officials, except for the leader, who remains stoic. The leader introduced himself in front of the two. I am the supreme leader of North Korea. I thank you on behalf of my people to saving us and helping us on fighting those mindless alien creatures. Sky nodded before formally talking. I'm a SHIELD agent, Sky. I've been assigned to this location to provide assistance. Lila ignored them and didn't speak. One subordinate stepped forward to berate her but got pulled by another one quicker. The one who stepped forward questioned the man, but the others only pointed behind his head. The guy looked behind him only to see a light dagger pointed to his temple, centimeters away from his face. He almost died or critically wounded if not for the guy who pulled him. He regretted a little for underestimating the women's cruelty. He just remembered their figures massacring the Outriders like a warrior in the middle of the war. The North Korean leader looked at his subordinate, then to the dagger. He gazed at Lila before saying, this man's subordinate needed more discipline. I hope you can forgive him just once. The way he played with words are direct and didn't apologize for his subordinates. Lila waved her hand like shooing a fly. The meaning was she let it off and just don't bother her. Sky had to speak for Lila since she knew each other, and maybe because Lila don't know how to speak their language. My friend here don't have much patience and she just lost one of her friends, the other woman who came with her, so I hope you can be more direct and say what you want to say. The leader remains stoic as he voiced out his concerns. My people are having difficulty finishing the alien creatures. You've been fighting them since the start. Why not give us more helping hands? I promise I will give all of you and your SHIELD subordinates a handsome rewards. Sky just stared at the leader and contemplated when suddenly Lila stood up while saying, I will leave now, I feel uncomfortable and need to wash. Lila just received an important information about Kane being seriously wounded after his fight against Thanos. Lila have no time for this nonsense since her priority never changes. Sky got the message from her subordinates that the Outriders are getting more desperate and started attacking the defensive fortress of the North Korean military. The SHIELD agents who came with Sky boarded their plane after Thor destroyed the rest of the dropships. Sky left with Lila after saying a few words, so they remain here firing longer range guns and missiles to the Outriders, unlike Lila and Sky who fought in close combat. They have to deal with this as Lila and Sky rested after the bloody war and exhausting their energies /stamina. Lila conjured a light wings on her back to fly. The light daggers she left on different parts of the world disappeared when she don't have enough to provide energy, causing for each of them to scatter like a fragmented glass. Now, She rested well even for not long. She conjured wings to fly to her next destination. Sky didn't persuade her, but the North Korean leader commented before she take off. "You, the one who attack my place. I will remember that. Your attack caused many of my men to die. You may have assisted in killing the alien creatures, but your hands are also stained with the lives of my men. Your actions are condemned and there will be response to your aggression." He said the former's statements in broken English, but the latter statements came back as native North Korean language. Sky realized his meaning, and some subordinates proudly commented few things about how great and sympathetic their leader is, while some cautious like the other guy sweated as he's worried about the retaliation of the woman if she get angry. Even Lila understand the former statements, and even though she doesn't understand the language of the latter statement, one look at Sky's worried expression and the subordinates at the back's smug looks. Comment. 0 comment. Vote. Chapter 118. Chapter 118. Chapter 118. She got the meaning that she received a threat from North Korea. Turning around to look, Lila saw a two-giant statue not far away. Smirking, she conjured a 10-meter light hammer. The people thought that she will kill them with the hammer, and some wanted to protect their leader and others run away to save themselves. Lila proceeded to control the hammer. When it rushed away towards the statue, the North Korean leader panicked and shouted to stop. He got a little scared thinking of what might happen next. Screaming non-stop, he wanted Lila to stop what she's doing, but the hammer stopped at the top of the two gigantic statue of the former leaders. Seeing it stop, the North Korean leader wiped his sweat and sighed in relief, then looked at Lila, who was smirking in contempt, then clenched her fist. The hammer smashed one of the statue to the ground and then again crushing it into pieces. The leader and his subordinates just looked dumbfounded. Lila lifted the hammer again and smashed the other two, turning it into more dust plaza. The leader's face turned red to green, then to purple. While his subordinates are also angry while sweating profusely. The iconic monument of North Korea's late leaders have been smashed by a foreigner. The power behind those courage and guts to slap the supreme leader of North Korea not only left their sanity absurdity because of their symbol monumental site have been thoroughly break into pieces. When the Sky witnessed the expression of Lila when she turned around, or even when she heard the clear threat coming from a leader of North Korea, she already tapped her communicator, then commanded, "Pack up guys, we're leaving." The SHIELD agents, still confused by the order but nevertheless follows the command. They immediately left with the Airbus. The outriders are left to the military of North Korea since they don't have the jurisdiction and interfere. Their mission were just to assist. Sky look at Lila, who by then is hundreds of meters away before they even notice she had thus far left, not caring if she offended a nation's leader. Sky don't have any plans staying here taking the blame, so she utilized her gauntlets to shoot a powerful vibrations. The sudden vibration pushed her upwards similar to trampoline. The vibration shook the air and she used that as a platform, jumping constantly until she got far away. Lila, seeing her also going her way, assisted her by making a solid light platform for Sky to step foot on. Sky didn't ask anything as she understood that Lila needed silence and she even maybe doesn't care about whatever she did. The two flew far away until the Airbus of SHIELD met them in the air. Boarding the plane, Lila said her destination, which is the New York. Sky ordered to take the Airbus to New York as the SHIELD are also nearby. The Airbus flew at top speed. The speed broke the sound barrier, but there is no discomfort to the people inside. While the Airbus and the others inside are long gone, the North Koreans, especially the leader, are red and purple faces. They have outriders to solve before taking care of the statue, so the soldiers immediately got back to firing missiles and airstrikes rained down. USA. 11 a.m. After Kane left, only the U.S. military, SHIELD agents and the defenders are left to defend the city from the attacks of the outriders. Watching the first hero who responded and destroyed many of the dropships and massacred the outriders, leaving disheartened many viewers as well as the people fighting. They may become hero fighting against alien invaders, but this will also cost for the soldiers to risk their lives and die fighting. The military and SHIELD agents focus on defense and let the Air Force strike while in the air. The defenders also retreated before they get overwhelmed by the quantity. Since the formation have cracks, barriers are too late to set up from some borders where outriders charge through, resulting in the deaths of people who add to the casualties. The war isn't far from over, but this will be a victory for sure since there is only one more dropship left. No more spacecrafts are piercing the atmosphere, so the enemy's reinforcements die down. Matt Murdock led the soldiers and divided their role plays. His leadership is seen by the commanders but refrained from interfering since the heroic act inspired the soldiers and boosted their morals. The talent of Daredevil not only shows his proficiency in martial arts, but the most glaring talent he acquired from the training with the Avengers was Captain Steve's tactical and commanding skills. He played the role of a leader, charging forth with his group to destroy their opponents. It became clear to all that the man who wears red and black battlesuit is also valuable assets in times like this. While Iron Fist fought together with the black man who got ripped jacket but the hoodie stayed on. The two's chemistry create a shield and spear. Their fight is the second most eye-catching for those who is watching. They combined their strength that left the opponents dying whenever they advance. While the men fought valiantly, the outriders, a woman who wore grey-white battlesuit, left on her own device as she kept her distance away from the main battle. Instead, she's killing those who get to jump over the temporary defense fort. Her efficiency are less glamorous or amazing than Daredevil and Iron Fist as well as the Black Dude. Jessica's job was not to charge but to defend in case some outriders who lost their way from the pack and kill it quickly before it kill anyone. Comment. 0 comment. Vote. Chapter 119, Chapter 119. Chapter 119. After the snap, which caused the world, the universe rather, to get chaotic. The New York specially hit by the impact of the large-scale disappearance. While outside the city was an alien invaders and the inside of the city is chaotic situation which the police and other law enforcement are having a hard time calming down the streets. The news reporter has to create a contents where they had to lie to the people according to government's wishes. Like any other lies, it got through to the majority while minority of the people did not believe and demanded for the truth. Sometimes it is better to lie than to create worse situations which majority of the people refuse to believe. The military and the government officials lost many people, but some still did their job while the rest fled. Thor brought down countless lightning strikes, killing countless outriders, then smashed the dropship. His prowess amazed and terrified many people like they see a literal god angered by the mortals. With Thor's assistance, the world are cleared of the outriders. Corpse littered the ground as the government and military cleaned and burned the corpses in case in bring diseases. The alien invaders may be gone, but the world's order are interrupted due to the disappearance of half of the populations. The military had a discussion with Rhodey about the Avengers coming back to whether they like it or not. The Avengers initiated their returns. The world turned chaotic only for the first 24 hours, and the Avengers cleared the lawless areas by peaceful confrontation to forcefully fighting against criminals and syndicate. Captain Steve specifically told the team to prioritize taking action first before talking peacefully. The SHIELD agents scattered around the world assisted the Avengers on their task. Leopard Eric remains in the Africa's continent, assisting the country about their chaos. Pietro on the other hand was devastated at first hearing Kane in coma after his standoff with Thanos. He also learned the Vision is greatly damaged on every part and still on Wakanda getting repaired and treated. While his most devastating moment was when he heard his sister also vanished by the snap like the others. Pietro remained on Australia. He had gained numerous fans and received a great reputation due to his heroic act and contributions to being able to save countless people caused by the attacks of the Outriders. He cooperated with the SHIELD agents to calm and deal with the mobs who took advantages of the disorder and turmoil of the society. The military have still been in talk about the Avengers coming to light again. Like in the past, some folks are against to the authority and power the superhuman people brought. Now that the Avengers gained a very to-the-top reputation by defending the world from alien invaders and fighting criminals around the world to keep peace at bay. The society is on the verge pandemonium, heroes come out one after another, and if they gained another influences they would not have any dominance against the Avengers. Moreover, as the government and the nation's sovereign, they are ought to control whatever is happening inside their country. Giving more power and influence to the so-called heroes for them is to have another opponents that can usurp the rule from their hands. The mayhem only calmed down after a week and no protest against the government happens. The disruption to the society affected not only the policy and the upheaval international terror but also cause a devastating impact to the economy. Pietro look at the people looting the city of its businesses stall. He knows that some of these people are really causing this disorder just for the sake of selfishness. He already stopped these kinds of frenzy break-ins, but there seems to be a leader who organized this type of robbery. His job was to arrest the mastermind of this crime. After the agents is done with the investigation and interrogation, he just had to run and take out the people behind this mess. The agent walked out of a room, his fist bloodied and clothes in tatters. Pietro had already an idea of what happens inside. The snitch demanded a fair hand-to-hand fight, and the deal was whoever wins get what they want. And it seems the agent won the fight, so he got out with a fewer scratches. Agent looked at Pietro and just shrugged before speaking. The guy's decent enough to honor his words. He said that there really is organizing these crimes and it's not just involving a robbery and riots. Breathing deeply, the agent took a moment to organize his words before continuing. They are also involved in drug trafficking and arms smuggling. The snitch also mentioned that he had a hunch those people also had a hand on organ and human trafficking. He lit a cigarette after saying all that, and remember, he still didn't says who it was and where is the mastermind is. You may want to take a cigarette first before or after I will tell who it was. Pietro took a piece of cigarette and then persuaded the agent to resume. Get faster and tell me already who it was. I've dealt with all kinds of people who did unspeakable things. The SHIELD agent blew off a trail of smoke, then proceeded. He is mayor of this city, name his Joss. He had been involved to many controversies and our database even suspect him being the younger cousin of a terrorist organization inside this country. The whereabouts of this man is inside the mansion of a wealthy district. My men should have already sent you the information of this man. This organized thievery is only a small part of his tentacles, and if you plan to move alone like you said, you will have to deal with private armed forces, and don't forget he is still the mayor. He has networks that can protect him if necessary. The agent kept talking until his cigarette burned out, then only he turned his head only to see one of his men just standing there quietly. The agent stared back and the subordinate had to say something to alleviate the awkwardness. Sir, Mr. Quicksilver had already left after we sent all the information. The agent's eyes kept twitching as he thought that Pietro is quiet because he is a good company and listen attentively. Waving his hand to his subordinate, he replied, just keep reporting to me whatever happens at that place. At the same time, get ready to support Quicksilver if he ever need any. Yes, sir. Comment. 0 comment. Vote. Chapter 120, Chapter 120. Chapter 120. Pietro dashed his way and left a silver trail wherever he ran. His footsteps created no sounds as his boots is designed similarly to Black Panther, which is sound absorbent. He reads the information about the man Kurjos and his associates. He won the election just recently because his opponents all had problems at the time they submit their candidacy. It is not a secret that Kurjos had a hand to that in order to win the position of mayor. His people have been dissatisfied about how he ran the city. He selfishly did not consider the well-being of the citizens and created many controversies around him. The dissatisfaction caused the people to riot, and his solution to that was to turn the riot away from him. The crimes is an all-time high before the snap, and when it happens and the people disappear simultaneously after the other, he hides inside his mansion and hosted parties all day and night. Pietro calmly read, but his blood is already boiling when he learns all the crimes he instigated and had a hands on. The smuggling of arms and people being trafficked only happened recently, but it still didn't make him happy. Kurjos also extend his hand on organ trafficking. He may not be the one who do the work, but his loose policy created a loophole where this men got in and out with him profiteering on the side. After reaching his destination, Pietro stopped hundreds of miles away to look first and then plan before attacking. The mansion are lighten up as people came in to join the fun. The party was hosted by Kurjos, so many came to expand their networks and have fun in the process. Pietro's speed don't have difficulty getting inside, but he will attract attention with him still donning his battle suit. Pietro dashed to one of the guards nearby, then knocked him out cold while putting the clothes on him. Now that he got a new clothes, it is time to start to first create a havoc inside to reduce the quantity of the people. Like a security guard, he got inside while blurring his face slightly. He heard that most of the people's topic was about the alien invasion and the disappearance of half the population. Some are ecstatic and some talk just for the sake of talking and networking. Pietro don't have time for this, so he used his speed to locate his targets. Yes, targets. Kurjos' associates are also inside the mansion, so he had to deal with them also. The party resume while Pietro is getting ready to his plans. When the party is almost over, Kurjos reveals himself full of bodyguards around him to make a speech. Pietro dashed outside and lit the gasoline he poured around the mansion. His plans was to burn the walls of the mansion and only left one exit. He rushed all around in case some immediately notice a huge fire. Once the flame intensified, the security guards brought water hose to kill the fire, but knock out by Pietro with a single punch. He didn't need to hold back, as this people broke a few bones every time he threw a kick or punch. The people panicked and exited to a one corridor screaming, and bodyguards outside meet them while calling ambulance, police and firefighters. Pietro only had a few minutes to deal with this, as the shield contacted him that they can only delay that much to avoid suspicions. Kurjos and his associates didn't exited like most invitees, but instead use a back door that only available for this kinds of emergency. Pietro threw a grenade to the monitoring room. All security cameras didn't capture any of his image, but he had to make sure to destroy all kinds of monitoring devices before he take the rest down. Dashing through the inside with flame all over, airplane with water poured down. They are faster than I thought, Pietro murmured, but still kept his focus on dealing with the rest of the securities. Bang! Boom! Crack! Crackle of burning wood and broken bones filled the room of its sound. Kyrgios had a handgun which is pointed everywhere. A silver silhouette filled his vision. Kyrgios remained alone as his associates are all knocked out. He splurged threats and warnings about his identity and his connections. Please stop. I surrender. You will regret this. You will regret this. You have no idea what I can do. I will kill you. Kyrgios spouted sentences that made Pietro twitch his mouth as the cowardice of a villain gave him enough satisfaction, but his crimes is still made countless people suffer, so Pietro isn't done yet. Pietro contacted the agent. You might need to rescue this guys quicker. You can have all the evidence you can have. The flame didn't reach to higher floors as water rained down before the intensity damages more properties. But the insides of the mansion have fire still burning, and Pietro had a great plan. Bang! Crack! Clank! Punches and kicks broke every joints of Kyrgios and the guns fell to the floor. His cries reverberated the room and Pietro poured the alcohol on the ground and the clothes of this people. Kyrgios looked up to see Pietro with a lighter. He screamed hard and then Pietro dashed away. The flame lighted up the room and the clothes and skins burned the people. A minute later, firefighters break inside to rescue the people. Smokes and smells of burning meat filled the ambulance, as it is fortunate and unfortunately that everyone survive. Pietro have learned from Cain how to handle criminals who deserve to suffer more than to escape by dying. Some of the bones of these guys are pulverized and skins burned with signs of trauma on their mentality. Pietro chose to do this because he doesn't have a great mood since learning what happens to his sister and friends. He left the place after informing the SHIELD agents and then dashed all the way. His destination was wherever he can use his ability to stop the madness and commotion and rescue the people who needed rescuing. That's it, guys. Hope you like the video. Like, share and subscribe the channel. Also make sure to tell me your recommendation in the comment section down below. Thanks for watching.